Welcome to class. Today we are going over block module 1. And it's important to point out that in Kenpo, every block is a strike and every strike is a block. There's positional blocks, checking blocks, in other words, different intentions for the blocks. The one thing that hopefully we've gotten already through our lesson when we talked about covering is that we don't use blocks to chase hand strikes. So even if you've seen that in previous styles or in a movie or in some sort of book, what history has taught us is that doing blocks doesn't work when you're chasing fists or trying to evade fists, I should say. So just remember, there's 3 ways that we deal with hand strikes: covering, crowding, and smothering. Okay, so the lesson, uncovering, our intent is to crowd and smother. That is how we deal with hand strikes. Once we get inside of our attacker and we have some connection, then we can actually start using either our grappling techniques, pressure point techniques, or some of the Kenpo techniques. And what determines what you're going to use is the situation and the bad guy. Unfortunately, it's normally not what you want to do. So the blocks are taught from the training horse. So if I'm in my training horse stance, first block I'm going to show you is the upward block. And every block has a side, a method, and direction. Side meaning left or right. Method meaning slapping, thrusting, or hammering, let's say. And the direction would be upward, downward, inward, outward, all that kind of stuff. And the directions that are called out are in relation to your center line. So, that being said, training horse, the upward block is going to come up my center line. As much as possible, try to do an uppercut. And by possible, just some body styles will allow your arm, perfect. Some body styles won't. Do the best you can. So I come up here, an uppercut. Once I get around my eyebrow level, I'm going to change it like so. So it should resemble somewhat of a rooftop. Give me a little shock absorber. Stop that airplane that's coming down on me, huh? So, left side. Now, with all of our blocks, in order to make them as fast and as smooth and efficient as possible, you're going to see that we like to keep things loose until a certain point when we snap. And that's what's going to give you the power without reducing your speed, causing too much body binding, or anything like that. For learning purposes today, we don't have to focus too much on that. We just want to focus on getting our body used to center line, up, and then reversing that path. So that is my upward block. My inward block, the first one we're going to do is a thrusting. So that means I'm going to bring it from right here. A thrusting inward goes just like that. A hammering inward would look like this. Now, we have 2 different types of outward blocks. We have a vertical outward and an extended outward. The vertical outward allows us a little bit of protection from something really close in. The extended outward allows us a little bit of distance, some protection, and possibly the use of some type of hammer strike. So, from the training horse, a vertical outward, and bring it right back. Over, windshield wiper up, and bring it back. An extended outward, across the belly. As I'm bringing my hand outward, I'm rotating it. And with this, let's pretend I have a knife in my hand and I'm stabbing the corner of a box. Hope you don't like boxes too much. So you have a left vertical, right extended outward, and those are the outward blocks. Then we have downward blocks. We have a bunch of downward blocks. Today we're just going to focus on palms down. We're going to do an outward downward and an inward downward. So starting from the right side, I'm in my training horse, right downward outward, come across my belly, boom. All I'm trying to do is clear this path right here. With a little bit of body English and some foot maneuvering, I could be protecting and deflecting leg strikes, but you definitely don't want to block a kick. Small bone in the arm, big bones in legs, not a good idea. Okay, so downward, outward. Then we have an inward downward, which is just from here, shooting, crossing my center line, coming back to here. Then we have, let's do a push down block. If you're in grappling, it resembles a pancake maneuver where we are pushing someone's head down who's trying to take us down to the ground. You can use a push down block for that purpose and many other purposes, such as deflecting knee strikes, popping hips, and certain things like that. Deflecting knee strikes, not blocking a knee strike. You're not going to do much, a strong knee strike with a hand. But here's what it looks like. So that's your push down block. You also have, it's a rear elbow, but it's a block. And we started off by throwing our limb out, boom. So the block is protecting my rib cage and my body. Okay, so if I say a left elbow block, and obviously the block is for this, but it's a strike if somebody's standing behind me. So we have a fun drill that we can do out of this. It's called blocking set 1 or the star block. So from my training horse, upward, inward, vertical outward, extended outward, downward outward, inward downward, elbow block, push down. Upward, inward, vertical out, extended outward, downward outward, inward downward, elbow block, push down block. So what I'm going to do in the audio coach is put you in a training horse, call out the blocks in a nice slow tempo, stating again the side, the method, and direction. That way you're used to hearing the terms, executing the maneuver, and then we'll also go through the star block as well. So the blocks are a lot of fun. Again, in real life, we don't chase punches with blocks. We deal with hand strikes using covering. And covering, whether it's a full shell or a half shell, is what allows us to employ the Kenpo principles of smothering and crowding. So it's a little bit separate when we're talking about training sessions and topics. So that being said, let's go ahead and close out class.